Girl, stop playing. Welcome to another episode of the Girl Stop Playing podcast. I'm your host, Coriel, and you already know that I am here to encourage you to stop playing with your potential and start working for what you want in life and in love. You already know that I'm an advocate for helping you make the money and get the honey. You can have it all if you are willing to work. So, on this week's show, you already know I'm bringing you a working woman who is going to encourage you to do the damn thing. But before I introduce today's guest, you got to make sure that you like, comment below, and subscribe to the channel because this is one of many amazing conversations that are going to move the culture forward. So today's guest, episode 20, features India Monae, who is a real estate investor, ownership advocate. That sounds good, right? Ownership advocate, y'all, and the founder of Land Over Labels. Welcome to the studio, India Monae.
Thank you. Thank you.
So India Monae is actually your real name.
Yeah. First and middle. Y'all want to see my license?
I really thought, you know, people be having an Instagram name. I didn't think it was a stripper name, but I definitely thought it was like just it's a pretty fly name. Your mama did you good. Did you good. So I'm super excited to have you back on my new podcast. Yeah. You were a former guest on Confessions of a Workaholic, still putting in that work. So we had to have you back on the show. So I'm excited to get into it.
I'm excited to be here.
Yes. So I came across India Monae on Instagram. Y'all know you can make some really good connections on the gram if you actually take them offline. So you were hosting a class years ago about getting into real estate investments. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to get into real estate investments. So I'm like, yo, she's preaching this land over labels. I had never heard it before, but I personally have, always felt that the ownership was more important than, the labels. So I saw that you were pushing this message, and I thought it was such a strong message. So let's get into it. I want to start, though, pre-real estate investor, because the way that you got into this space is such a powerful story. So you got to share the story for the people who don't know.
Oh, Lord.
Take us back.
Cole, thank you, because you're an OG Land Over Labels alumni.
OG, triple OG.
What, 2018?
It was a while
18, 19, some years ago. When we were scrambling for venues.
Listen.
We definitely leveled up. Yes, we leveled up, and I appreciate you for believing and attending. But how did I get into real estate? Long story. Let's make it short. I was a workaholic. Working hard and not smart, right? Because we're not taught how to work smart. I had a full-time online boutique, and hence the name Land Over Labels, if it makes sense. But a full-time online boutique, which did pretty well. Hit summertime, which in retail is slow for everybody, and decided to do a pop-up shop. Leaving the pop-up shop, going to get something to eat. Hadn't eaten all day. Like most entrepreneurs, we scramble. Don't put ourselves last, which... That has changed as well, right? But I was running to get something to eat and got struck by a drunk driver. Everything stopped for me. Mm-hmm. I ended up in a wheelchair for 6 months. I got 11 metal plates in my left foot, 2 screws in my right foot, didn't wear heels for a while, was in a wheelchair for about 6 months, had a baby, he was 4, couldn't take him to preschool. It was rough. And I realized then that passive income was the wave. That was it. It was like, hey, what could I do where nothing could stop me? And it's so crazy because COVID for me was very reminiscent of the wheelchair. Like everything stopped.
You wasn't new to this.
Right. Yeah. And I thrived in COVID, which we'll talk about too. But when those hard times hit is when you really you see the darkness. They say it takes a certain amount of darkness to see the stars. Mm-hmm. Baby, I went crazy after that. So, got out the wheelchair, bought my first property.
What were you doing in the wheelchair, though? Because I think it's so profound that you were in this space where you literally could not move. You have to just pause. And you probably would not have sat down any other way had God not sat you down. So, but I want to talk about what you were doing in the process, because a lot of people can use a situation like that, use it as an excuse for why I can't. Mm-hmm. But you were like, no, this is why I have to.
I had so many DMs and emails when I got out that chair about people that had been in traumatic accidents, that had lost parents and lost kids and were just frozen by it. And they're like, how do you keep going? you know what? It was my baby. It was my baby that gave me the will, right? In that chair, you got to imagine, I couldn't work anymore. I was refunding orders. Not only that, I couldn't bathe him anymore. I couldn't bathe myself. I couldn't put myself on the toilet. Like, I had a bedside, toilet, like, it was very, very humbling, very humbling. But I knew that this is something that could happen again. And it could be worse, right? So not only do I need to create income that I don't have to show up for, I don't have to walk for, but I need to create something that will be left to my child, right? And so legacy became my drive. And so I studied. The whole time I was in that wheelchair, I'm a busybody anyway. I'm a Gemini, so we just never stop. And because I couldn't get up and go, my mind was going. And when my mind was going, I was reading. I was reading Robert Kiyosaki books. I was watching Jay Morrison on YouTube and studying, there wasn't a lot of people talking about real estate investing. Not
Before
people that
it was trendy.
Right. Not people that look like us, right? And so I think the thing is, we think that it's not attainable for us if we don't see people that look like us in the realm. And so that's kind of why I started Land Over Labels after I started investing. But yeah, I studied. I read a lot, and I was deleting every damn thing off of my credit report because I knew when I get up out this chair, I'm going to take off. And my credit was holding me back, which it holds us all back because we just don't have the knowledge. So I was working on my credit, and I was doing all of the things that I needed to do to prepare myself for ownership.
And I love that. I remember at the class, I'm thinking I'm coming to just learn about real estate, but there was a huge portion of it that was about credit. And I think that sometimes is like the missing link where we see the glitz and the glam on Instagram, but we don't really know the pieces of the puzzle that it takes to actually make it happen. And so the fact that you didn't leave out the real, what it actually takes to be able to accomplish some of these things, I definitely appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you even mentioning it because that's one of those things that, like, we don't want to check that credit report. We don't want to really face the facts. But ignorance is not bliss when it comes to your credit. Like, if you're not constantly and consistently making sure that you're building, you can't do any of the great things that you want to do. So before we dive deeper into real estate, though, I wanted to ask you about fashion because you had the boutique. You're still very stylish. Are you still in that space?
No. I'm not in the space. Fashion to me, so my mother has a fashion degree.
So you got it honest.
Yeah, my aunt, both aunts have fashion degrees. My grandmother, her bed sheets got to be Ralph Lauren.
So baby, didn't just happen by chance.
They're ridiculous. They are ridiculous. And so yeah, it comes natural. Same thing on my dad's side. Like my aunts, they're all super fly. And so that's just something that I grew up in.
Gotcha.
And so it was easy for me to move over into that field. I went to school for public relations. I didn't go to school for fashion. And the reason why is because they all did and they weren't rich.
Gotcha.
So I was like,
different. I'm going to be fly, but we're going to do it a little different.
Exactly.
I love it.
Exactly.
I love it. So you said you knew that you needed something passive.
Yes.
There's somebody out there right now that's like, sis, passive is the name of the game. How do I get in where I fit in? What is your advice now for someone who's looking to create some passive income?
Obviously, I'm an advocate for real estate because I'm an advocate for ownership. Like you said, ownership advocate. I love that. But more urgently, I like to take I think a lot of us don't understand that if you've been working in a field for 10 years, it makes you an expert. It's the same thing as going to college for 4 years. We don't have to do that anymore, right? And so there's a lot of people that possess a whole lot of knowledge and information and just don't know that somebody else needs it, right? And so 10 years you've been in nursing, there's somebody, or even a travel nurse, that wants to jump into that field, but they're afraid, right? And so you talk a lot about it. Take your expertise, put it into an ebook, put it into a course, an online course. Information is different now. It's different. So I would say start there. What do you know that you can teach to someone else and make a little bit of passive income on? Write a book. And, once you create more cash and get that credit where it needs to be, buy a property. A multifamily should be your start.
You gotta get into it.
Should be your start. I know a lot of people like, well, I bought my single family first. It's fine because you own. But
We just didn't know any better. We just thought, let's just go buy our forever home.
I didn't either. I bought a condo first. I didn't buy a multifamily. I didn't buy multifamilies until COVID. So, and we can talk about that, but again, we got sat down and I got more strategic.
Yes.
Right? Because we have to.
You have to.
Yeah.
And what people don't realize, I think, is you can make more money. Y'all listening? I'm talking to you. You can make more money. This is a free game. Teaching people how to do the thing. Then you can make doing the thing.
Yep.
You can make, let me just say that one more time for the people in the back. You can make more money teaching people how to do the thing. You don't even have to spend the time. I mean, as long as you've done the thing and you have the credentials and the experience to teach people, you can literally make more money teaching people how to do it. We live in the information age. The information product space, it's like something stupid, like 22 billion, like a massive amount of money that you can tap into using the information that you already have in your head. So I appreciate you mentioning that, because I'm always advocating for people taking advantage of the time that you've spent doing all of these things, working for somebody else. You got to start capitalizing off of that.
Exactly.
So you do all of the things, India, and I got a list of some of the things that I think you do. So I just want to name them. And then first thing that comes to mind, where you're currently doing with these things, you just get into it. So the first one is Airbnb. And you just hopped off a live. I know people are still poking at you for your Airbnb advice. So your current state with Airbnb, what you got going on, advice for somebody that wants to get into it, all things Airbnb.
Okay, so I'm going to be honest with you.
Please be.
I can't stand Airbnb. But Airbnb is at least 3 times, 4, 5 times what you would make, over a regular long-term rental, but 20 times a headache. And so I've gotten to a place where I'm just so spoiled by passive income. I want it to be as passive. Don't call me for nothing. I want it to be as passive as possible, right? And so I have this philosophy: the shorter the rental, the longer the money, right? The bigger the bag. And so in October, I started the Money Club.
Shout out to the Money Club.
But what you may not know is the Money Club closed.
I knew that, but I wasn't going to tell you business, girl. I was still going to
I'm perfectly fine with airing them out. The people were so racist.
Really?
In the ownership advocate, that was my first lease. And I always say own or be owned. And baby, they were owning me.
Own you.
They were trying to own me. It got rough over there. It got to the point where they were exploiting me. They were stalking me. They were harassing me. They were so blatantly racist that
right here in ATL.
What? Child. They were so blatantly racist. Like one day I had 2%, Yandy, Tiffany from Bedana's, great friend, love her, Google, all in there shooting Tiffany's shapewear brand. VH1 came to film it because of Yandy. Do you know they fined me $2,000 and said I shot an unauthorized rap video? Mind you, isn't this your space? Production space. Yeah. So what makes it unauthorized if it was a rap video?
And did they assume it was a rap video because there were
black people? I mean,
baby, I couldn't have packed up quick enough. You ain't got to worry about me.
You ain't got to worry about. But what I did learn is that now we take $150 or $200 a day for Airbnb. In that day, you got time to party, tear my shit up, break stuff, act a fool, and now we can turn that into an hourly rate, right? And so that's what I'm doing now. So basically, I'm transitioning my Airbnb into a pure space, a creative content space.
Smart lady.
Every room is actually, some rooms are 2 or 3 sets. And so it's about 13 scenes in my house now.
Nice.
And
are we getting an invitation to come check it out?
Come on and check it out. I would love to have Ro. He was sleepy last time.
Baby gotta come. That baby cut up at your last spot.
You can't come without him.
Okay. He told her shit. On the last spot.
But yeah, and so that's what they're asking me about, because I put it in my stories earlier when I had the moving guys moving things in and out, and basically transitioning. This is my house. So y'all can't tell me nothing.
What to do. Yep.
In my house. I talked to my neighbor, Miss Barbara. She's fine. You know what I mean? Don't call the police.
Right. Get that little approval and keep. So for somebody who is interested in getting into the space, I am obviously in Airbnb. I agree 1,000% with all of the things you said, from the money being great to the headache being not so great to all of those things. And then I feel like Airbnb is starting to get a bad name. Like I've been seeing a lot of the, the commentary around it. But in case there's somebody watching who is still interested in getting into the space.
Absolutely do.
What is your advice? Is your advice to get in but go the peer space route, or what would you say?
So I like to call myself a maximizer, right? And so you can do both. There are people that do Airbnb at night, peer space in the morning. You know what I mean? So you want to find, right now my goal is finding and teaching people how to find the maximum and highest and best use of whatever the space is.
Gotcha.
Right? And so it's kind of a personal thing. It depends on where your space is, your location, etc. But Airbnb is still great money. You just got to be real hard on those people. You know what? The demographic has changed. The world has changed after COVID. Let's just say that. Integrity is out the window. People are just not the same. And so you want to make sure that if you are doing Airbnb, you are letting them know that you will be fined for this. You will be fined for that.
Something crazy happened at one of your Airbnbs. I just thought about it, and they had to cut you a check.
Several crazy things.
I remember you posting about it when you said that. Somebody damaged something.
That's happened a couple times.
You like, girl, which time?
So one time, I have let me give y'all a real gem real quick. Smoke removal is very expensive. Very expensive. So if somebody even leaves an ash in your house, call them people and get that invoice that says, if I come do smoke removal, it's $1,200. I had somebody smoke a hookah. My house is in West downtown Atlanta. It's old. It was built in 1902.
Ooh,
very old. Classic. And I wanted to keep a lot of the character, and I kept the hardwood floors. And they dropped the coal out the hookah and burnt the hardwood floor. And that's just one of many. They painted the wall a different color a couple months ago. Like, why would you paint my wall? Why would you paint my wall? They said when they came in, they scratched it, so they tried to fix it, but painted it gray and the wall was white. So how did you...
Baby. How did you... entrepreneurship really teaches you that common sense is not so common. Ooh. And having people in your space is like even... So let's get off Airbnb. Turo.
I don't want to deter people.
They think twice. Seriously. No, because I do think that people see, I got 25 Airbnb units. We see this on Instagram, and then you get that one, and it knocks your socks off, and you're like, but sis didn't tell me about this part. So we're telling you. You can't say that we didn't tell you.
You will make more money.
You will make more money, but you're going to work for it.
You're going to work.
You're going to work for it.
Yeah, you can be a little stressed sometimes.
A little stressed. Are you into Turo or not?
I'm not into Turo, but I teach Turo.
You do? Okay, I thought you
teach. Okay, I teach Turo, but I haven't gotten into it.
What's your opinion? First thing that comes to mind when I say Turo.
Same thing. The demographic has changed, and some of my clients who got into Turo had a couple issues. People wrecking cars, and so you just have to be stern. You have to make sure you're telling them about fines and enforcing those fines. Just be leery. Be careful.
Be careful.
Be careful. But it's a good way to make money. And again, we talk about maximizing, right? So if you have a house and a car, you got a Turo
works together. Yep.
Yeah, they work together. People need something to drive.
Okay, swim suites. Tell me about this swim suites.
I love swim suites.
Give the people the tea on the swim suites.
So COVID shut us down. And so my mind started working again. And I went to MIT has a commercial real estate analysis program. And so I enrolled there and I got certified. And that really pushed me into multifamily. I got a 5-unit and a 6-unit on the same day. And it happened because I was actually doing a wholesale deal. I don't tell people I wholesale. Sometimes I do, y'all. So send me your deals. But this was just a really good deal. In the Midwest, the market is amazing still. And so the numbers were really good. And I had a buyer in D.C. If you guys don't know about wholesaling, come to Landover Labels.
Come to Landover Labels. That was the first time I heard about it.
But basically, wholesaling, you're like the middleman. Like, with wholesaling anything, right? And so you find a property, the property is worth $100K. You might say, I'm going to sell it for $150. they buy it for $150 to $50K, it's yours. I just gave you a whole lesson.
Free game.
Free game, right? And so I was in the middle of a wholesale deal in those two buildings to a guy in DC who was spending like upwards of $200,000. But the deals were so good that I was like, I'm keeping these. And I kept them. Very, very good deal. They didn't need much work. The Midwest is a renter's market, y'all. Anybody that's thinking about investing in multifamily, the Midwest is a renter's market. As much as I am an owner's advocate, I'm also an investor and have to take advantage of the fact that they will serial rent. They will pass down apartments.
Really?
Yes. There's not, ownership is just still not a big thing there.
Gotcha.
And so the rental income is great. They don't leave. I had a tenant pass away last summer. But aside from that, they never leave.
They're just not voluntarily leaving.
Yeah, right. They don't get up and go. And they pay. And if they don't pay, because we were in COVID, in the Midwest, there's a lot of help. You have like Catholic charities, you got Jewish centers, you have like nonprofits that help with rental assistance. And so it's a great area to invest in. And so, you asked about some
sweets.
So this is how
so many investments. She's like, wait a minute, which one were we talking about?
I know, I'm sorry. And I'm crazy. I get off track.
No,
but
good.
This is how I always wanted sweets. I wanted beauty suites since I was in a wheelchair. And I started studying Charlotte's market to open beauty suites there in 2016. Ended up not doing it. But then when I got the multifamilies, it's like, okay, you have 5 people paying you under one roof. So that means all the problems you would have are all under one roof, right? And you got more income coming under one roof. But they still got to come up with the money. But in suites, you're giving them a place to create the income to pay you. It's foolproof, right? As long as they're booked, it's a foolproof, it's foolproof. And because I went to MIT, I'm much better at analyzing these types of deals, and it just made sense to do some beauty suites. And somebody actually showed me the space, and it was almost already framed out for suites, so that I had got a framing estimate like 6 months prior that was like $60,000 just to frame out a building. And I was like, wait, so I could not have to do that? You know what I mean? And so it just made sense.
And where are the suites?
They're in Decatur.
They're in Decatur. Are you booked?
No.
All right, so they got to get with it.
Come and see me. Yeah. Yes, we have 4 suites left. So come and see me. Barbers, estheticians, lash pros, hairstylists.
Are there restrictions to like types of business, or it just needs to be in the beauty space?
It doesn't have to be in the beauty space.
Okay.
We have somebody that has a boutique that wanted to come in, and we actually have a girl that has a bakery that wants to set up for people to come pick up. And I'm fine with that too, but you can't cook there.
Got you. That's a whole nother liability.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so for people who are multi-passionate, you obviously have a lot of passions, things that you're passionate about, a lot of projects that you're working on, and you have a son.
Yes.
It wasn't until I had my child that I realized that mothers were superheroes. Ooh. That the fact that you can do anything on top of mothering.
Like even just make a sandwich.
Girl. Anything on top of mothering. It's like, baby, you did it. You did it today. Yeah. How are you able to do all the things, but what is your advice for someone who has a child, has a full-time job, and might be saying to themselves, I just can't do another thing, but that other thing could literally be the key to their freedom?
Time management. You got to maximize when they sleep. You got to maximize when they're at school. Time management is just try to find a really good support system. That's always amazing. And my son is just kind of acclimated to being in those spaces.
He rolls with it.
Yeah, yeah. So charge their tablet.
Listen, who thought they was gonna be the mama that they baby didn't have a tablet? Girl, I can't get that tablet out fast enough. We was at the Cheesecake Factory last time. I'm like, baby, the phone, where is that? Girl, all them rules went right out the window. But you mentioned we don't have to go to college anymore. That's not necessarily a thing. What's your advice for your son in terms of college?
So I started him in basketball camp this week because I was like, if you do go, you will
not pay for it.
It will be on a scholarship. But he understands that, his passion, I'm gonna be behind it. But, he understands, like, he's like, why don't you sell this house and let's get a bigger one? And, like, he's already working in the investment investment. His mind works in investment terms. And so
I love that for you. I love that for him. I love that for us. That we are just doing it in a way that our kids can see it and naturally do it. Like how fashion naturally came for you. Yeah. Ownership is just in him already. His thing. Yeah. I love it.
He talks about it to his friends, and I'm like, don't do that. I don't want to feel braggy. You know what I mean?
Baby, he could be talking about so many other things. Okay, let him talk about something legit. Yeah. Something else that I just thought about that stuck out at that class. You talked about, I think the little girl's name was Lily. Was her name Lily?
I still tell that story.
Tell the story again, because that was just such a, not even in my realm, like in the realm of possibility.
That's why I tell it.
Please tell the Lily
story. That's why I tell it. And so the prelude is I always ask in every class I do, or even just speaking, what is your definition of financial freedom, right? Because it is relative. But it's also shaped by your own perception and your level of experience and where you've been, what you've seen, etc. And so Lily was a little girl of a different color that it was in Ty's class in first grade. He went to a predominantly white school in first grade. And Lily's parents, I can't believe you remember this.
Girl, I remember, because I'm like, my baby is going to be the Lily. Yeah. My baby is Lily.
Exactly. That's another reason why we tell this story. But Lily's parents emailed the whole class, all of the parents in the class, and
it was so gangster. It was so
Lily's parents said, greetings. Basically, our family is going to be sailing the Caribbean islands for the next 3 to 4 years. 3 to 4 years, y'all. 3 to 4 years. And we just wanted to make sure that we stay connected. Lily very sad to leave all her friends at this particular school. This is our blog. This is our email. And they had the nerve to end with fair winds. I'm going to say the G family. I'm not going to give their last name. The G family.
Flip side.
And so, do you see how your perception of financial freedom changes? How the hell can you get on a boat for 4 years? How? And don't even know, 3 to 4 years maybe.
We're not even sure.
Maybe. We might stay 5. You know what I mean? And so, imagine Lily's perspective when she gets our age. And so, when we talk about like creating equity, that's the reason, because they have a 400-year head start, right? And so I'm sure it's probably the G's family's generation before them
that set them up
to sail the Caribbean islands for 3 to 4 years. I'm like, Lily don't need a teacher.
Listen, Lily don't need a classroom. The world is about to be her classroom.
Exactly. I wonder where she is now. Ty's 11.
Still on that damn boat, because COVID happened and they said, baby, we not coming off of this boat.
The boat was called the Magnolia.
Girl.
She's on the Magnolia.
I love it for Lily.
She's on the Magnolia.
Let's just pause. We're going to do a little moment of silence. Okay. May we all create Lilies. Yes. Y'all. Like, seriously. Because
I might name my daughter Lily.
Well, I ain't gonna go that far, but she gonna have the spirit of Lily up in her, okay? Because seriously, exposing our children you see it stuck with me all these years later. I remember the little girl name.
That was like 3 or 4 years ago, and I've been speaking in Ohio back home where I'm from every 2 weeks for the past couple of months. My best friend has a parent enrichment program trying to reach the parents to reach the kids, and I make sure I talk about Lily, because when I ask what's financial freedom, the number one answer I hear is putting our bills on auto pay. And that's like
that's what people are aspiring to.
That's the ceiling, and that's amazing. That's amazing, but they've been that. That's nothing to them. You know what I mean? And so I that's the reason why we talk about it, because for me, money, I like to see money as a brick. And once you stack your bricks and you continue to stack your bricks and flip your bricks, then you'll be on a boat.
Then you'll be on a boat, baby. Sailing the world.
Right.
Fair wind.
We have to change our mindset.
Have to. Because, again, like you said, if you have never... And I have, Lily is not a little black girl, so I have not necessarily seen someone who looks like me doing the thing. But just for me to know it's possible. Yeah. Just for me to know it's possible, it's like you have something greater to aspire to.
Yeah. And so we're resourceful people.
We are.
We are hard.
We just have to just show us it's possible, and we'll figure out a plan. We'll figure out a plan.
Exactly.
So with all of the talks of this recession, the dreaded R word that everybody is just clutching their pearls, what is your advice with your MIT analysis, what is your advice for, should people be weary right now? Should people be saving their money and stacking for deal? Like, what's your advice?
I think you should be budgeting, first of all. And if you do own, take advantage of the equity, because we are about to hit recessions, but the values are still high. The market is still high. The interest is high too, right? But the values are going down and the interest is going up. I think the Feds told us we got at least 3.5% more coming before the end of the year. So if you're looking at 5% interest rates, it's going to be 8. So take the money out and don't spend it.
Take it out and don't
take it out and do
spend it.
not spend it. I would say invest it into something that is
not crypto. Would you say investing into crypto, baby? Them people that lost. I'm them people. Okay, I ain't know what I was doing.
Not volatile, yeah. Something that's a little more foolproof, I like to say.
Did you lose some money, India?
I did not.
You did not. She said, I'm staying with the real estate, baby.
Yeah, I was studying and trying to go to class. I couldn't follow it.
Me either. That's why I should have kept my little money to myself. But you know what? I put money in there that I wasn't planning on like getting right back out. So I'm just gonna, girl, may the force be with that money. Okay, that money is just for my baby at this point. It's just gonna stay there forever.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
it'll turn back around.
Yeah, it has
when
to.
He's grown.
Well, all the markets are cyclical, so they gotta go up. They gotta come down.
We're just waiting on the coming back up.
Yeah.
You just mentioned though that you were involved in 2 real estate deals on the same day. Somebody watching this was like, "But how?" Kime was like, "But how?" Like, how? I was like, "But how?" How is that possible? Because again, for most people, we cannot even wrap our mind around that being a thing for us. So I'm sure that credit is part of it, but
Absolutely.
what are the pieces of that puzzle?
Absolutely. So the buyer was acquiring 2 buildings together, and I basically lumped them together as a package deal, and that's how I was wholesaling them to him. And so I'm gonna shake you down. I'm a negotiation queen. So I had got the seller down so low to where the 2 buildings were almost the price of 1. And so that's why when I got them down so low, that's when I was like, sorry.
Stop answering that dude phone call.
It's no longer for sale. Right. I kept it. But on the flip side, business credit. I bought the property in my business name using an SEC loan. SBA.
SBA loan.
Listen, it's finals. So think about basketball game. SBA loan. And so that's something that you have access to if you have business credit, right? SBA loan.
Right. We don't know. I don't know. Is it?
Yeah.
How?
Absolutely.
Tell them, India, how do you have access to it?
Because you got good business credit. You go to SBA and you ask for the money. And the interest rate was so low. It was like 3.2%. And guess what? It's still not in repayment. And I bought that in December of 2020. And it was supposed to be in a year the repayment starts. So it's free and clear for now. But when the repayment starts, I do have to make a payment on the building, but it's from the SBA.
So many people in the Black community are late to the party when it comes to these resources. And when we show up to the party, we think it's a scam. Mm-hmm. How many people thought that EIDL money was a scam and missed out? Baby! Thank you. Listen, y'all are all right with me. You are all right with me, okay? But I had my paperwork together. You have to have the things in order to make it happen. But so many of us miss out on these resources because we just think.
My biggest thing right now is stability and credibility. Stability and credibility. And so even with swim suites, when they come in, the beauty pros come in, they have a bunch of courses that are free to them so that they legitimize their business and they set themselves up to be able to get funding. This is the thing about the bank. If they don't give you money, they're going to go out of business, right? They want to give you the money, but you need to legitimize. You need to show that you're stable and that you're credible. And that's all that business credit is. That's all that credit is, period. It's credibility. Can you pay on time? So the SBA says, okay, looks like she pays on time. Here you go. Here's the money for your buildings. Yeah, I didn't go through traditional lending. I actually still haven't used my FHA loan. I know. 14 units, and I have not use my FHA. I'm trying to be very strategic about it.
Trying. You are being very strategic. That's amazing. So let's talk really quickly about different avenues of getting into real estate. Wholesaling, you briefly mentioned, but what are some other ways for people who may have a SBA loan that they're ready to do something with or something. What are some avenues that they can consider?
I think the biggest thing right now is like JV and joint venturing. And I bought those buildings with my business partner. And we own Swim Capital. Her name is Chanel Wilson. I'm India Monae, hence the name Swim. And Swim
Suites. Got you. Okay.
Yes. So we bought the buildings and then we opened up Swim Suites. But JV, collaborating, I can scale so much faster. You know what I mean? Like, it really changed my life. Like, I was able to buy 11 units at one time because of the joint venture. So that's something that it's non-traditional. We don't think about. How can I get into this faster? Find somebody with some money. Or they have the knowledge and you got the money, or vice versa. Or they have credit and you have the money. Y'all both need the knowledge. Let me take that back. Y'all both need the knowledge. I had somebody DM me the other day and was like, you know what? I went into a deal. I'm in a couple of deals with one of my friends, but she just knows more than me, and I just feel like she's being shady. Can you please mentor me?
Find time to ask, ma'am.
Right.
I mean, better late than never.
She needs to get the knowledge, like, so that you can't
don't
be
get
played.
taken advantage of.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't get played. And so JVing is a great way to get started in real estate, whether it's single family, multifamily. It's okay to buy a single family with your friend or your cousin or your granny and put it on Airbnb. And y'all split the profits. You know what I mean? It's a start. And the thing about lenders is they like to see ownership. So start somewhere, because credibility is one thing, but now you got some assets that I can snatch if you do default. So it's easier for them to give you funding. Single family, multifamily is great if you can find it. Airbnb arbitrage, which I don't really like to talk about much.
Girl, talk about it, because people be getting kicked out, put out, all of the things.
Yeah, so I got a class on the 23rd. It's 23rd and 24th. It's a 2-day event. And I have Marcia, who's Airbnb Arbitrage Gold. She has 22 units that she does not own. She does amazing, and she'll be there to answer all your questions. But I will say that if your paperwork is right, you'll be fine. And within your contracts, there's certain terminology, certain vocabulary that they want to see when they're giving you those units. And if those of you that don't know what arbitrage is, basically renting a space and subleasing it short term and keeping the profit.
Okay, so what would you say in terms of your real estate career has been more beneficial, mentorship or partnership?
That's a great question. I guess it depends on where I am mentally at the time. Like, I got so drained with teaching, and I felt so guilty about it.
Did you?
I was like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to answer this call.
You are allowed to not want to talk to the people.
I don't want to email back. You know what I mean? Like, I got really drained with it. But during that time, my portfolio went from 5 units to 16. You know what I mean? And so, but that's because I partnered.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So mentoring, the money is amazing, and the passion, the purpose is there. You feel fulfilled until you don't, right? You feel fulfilled until you're pouring from an empty cup. Then you're drained and you're tired and you got this guilt over you. And so both of them have been equally amazing, I would say. Like mentoring I did that for years until I stopped. I was capped at 5 properties for like 2.5 years.
Until you cleared space.
Yeah. And then I started investing again. And so now I'm like, okay, let's do a class. I actually haven't done a class. I was on tour with Black Girls in Real Estate last year. Every month was a different city. That was amazing. But Land Over Labels alone hasn't done an event since the pandemic hit. And so let's go.
Yes. So listen, on that note, let the people know where they can find the class, how they can support. If there's something else you got going on, right there, let them know.
Hey, y'all. Landoverlabels.com. You can look at the link in my bio. It's _India Monae and get your tickets. It's a 2-day event. We are teaching wholesaling, multifamilies, personal business, credit, Airbnb, peer space.
All the things.
All the things on Saturday. And on Sunday, we're getting into the field, which is my favorite part. We actually get on a big, huge tour bus. We're going to tour. We're going to learn how to analyze the market here in Atlanta. We're going to do a gentrification tour so that you can know how to spot it, because honestly, they bring the value, and that's where we should be investing.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to look at 35 acres of land, which I'm excited about. Talk a little bit about development. And, yeah, in landoverlabels.com or Landover Labels on Instagram or India Monae on Instagram.
There's an underscore, though, right?
Sorry. _ India Monae. And then Landover Labels _.
Girl, you got all the love.
Got my name.
Well, there it is. It's up
got
there.
my name.
It's up there. It's up there. We got you.
Thank you.
Y'all, another bomb episode. Another Black woman doing the damn thing right here on Girl Stop Playing. Make sure you share this episode, comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff. And I'll see y'all next week. Peace out. Girl, hey, I hope you enjoyed that video. This channel is all about encouraging you to stop playing with your potential and start working for what you want in life and in love. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you'll be notified when the next video drops. And comment below and let me know what you want to see on the next video. Peace out.